What's up, everybody? It's Carl's Collects Comics, and I'm back with another top 10 list. And this time, I'm going over one of my favorite characters of all time. This is the top 10 Nightwing comics that you should buy right now. So stay tuned. So I am a huge Nightwing fan. This was a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time. Excited that I finally have done it, and these are my top 10 Nightwing comics that I think you should buy now. So if you are also a fan, I'm looking forward to you giving me feedback and saying what you thought. So let's go ahead and get started with it. Number 10 on my list is New Teen Titans number 39. So while the story has been embellished and retconned over the years, this issue features Dick Grayson hanging up the Robin mantle for good. The angst and growing pains of his transition had been coming for a while, with Grayson chafing under the harsh authority of Batman, so it really wasn't a surprise, but it was still the definitive end of an era. For fans of the Nightwing character, this is definitely a book worth picking up, and it won't run you very much at all, though it is a difficult cover to get in high grade. Keep in mind that white and black covers are always difficult to get in high grade because they do tend to show the defects more so than others, and they are very difficult to keep clean and looking very presentable. But again, it's a pretty common book to find. You can even find them in dollar bins in the mid to mid grade up to about 8.0s. Yeah, you might spend a few extra bucks on it in high grade, but it's definitely a Nightwing key book worth picking up. Number 9 on my list is the New Titans number 88, and this issue features the debut of a new Nightwing suit in all of its 90s glory. I'm not a fan of this suit, but it's part of the character's history, so for a couple of bucks, why not go ahead and pick it up and add it to your Nightwing collection. Number 8 on my list of Nightwing comics that you should buy now is the Prodigal Son storyline. Now, this is a first for my top 10 list because I usually only do like the first issue of a long storyline, but I felt that it was an important enough storyline to not just recommend the first issue, but the entire story arc. This story arc begins with Robin number 0, but it continued throughout all of the Bat titles at the time, and it featured Dick Grayson taking on the Batman mantle after the events of Nightfall. With Bruce Wayne recovering and Jean-Paul Vallée out of commission, it fell to Grayson to continue the legacy of the Batman. This is an interesting read because in many ways Dick Grayson as Batman actually works. He's a different kind of Batman, but he works well in the role, and it's only because Bruce Wayne must return that he decides he can't handle it. Like, basically DC Comics said, we can't let this be permanent, even though it could actually work on a permanent basis. I know there's been other people to take on the cowl, especially recently. We've seen a future version of Damian Wayne, we've seen Luke Fox, we've seen Terry McGinnis, we've seen all these different ones that have taken on the cowl and become Batman, but aside from Bruce Wayne and Jean-Paul Vallée, but Dick Grayson was perfect storytelling, if you ask me. It made sense that the first sidekick to Batman would grow up and become the new Batman. Even with Bruce Wayne mentoring him in the way that he does with Terry McGinnis. That being said, that's not the direction that they went with it, and I think Nightwing works as his own character, so I'm very glad that he's continued to be Nightwing and that he is his own character, his own superhero, and he's definitely a different type of superhero than Batman. So the complete story arc is as follows, if you are wanting to put it together. It consists of Robin number 0, Robin number 11, Robin number 12, Robin number 13. And then it continues on with Detective Comics number 679, number 680, and number 681. From there we go on to the Batman title, the main Batman title, and that's issues number 512, 513, and 514. And then from there it goes to Shadow of the Bat, which was a Batman title at the time, and that is Shadow of the Bat number 32, number 33, and number 34. So this is a storyline that's well worth the read, even if you decide to just pick up the trade paperback. But the great thing about it is that these books did have a relatively high print run. There's not a massive demand for them, so you can find them for pretty affordably. You know, if you look through the back stock of at least a couple of local comic shops, you'd probably be able to put together the majority, if not the entire run. I also checked on eBay. There are a couple of mostly complete lots for the storyline. They're going for anywhere from $30 to $50 depending on the seller and the grade that they're estimating. But this is one of those ones, I don't know that I would pay eBay prices for it. This could be a fun small run to put together, just looking at different local comic shops or comic conventions or antique shops, because again, these titles at this time did have a very high print run, and this was a common storyline to find, so you can generally find these in back issue bins. Number 7 on my list of Nightwing comics you should buy now is Birds of Prey, Volume 1, Number 8. This is the first date and first kiss issue written by Chuck Dixon with art by Greg Land. It's an iconic issue with an iconic cover, even though they never actually suit up in the comic book. Double the low print run book, this has become a sleeper book due to its status as a major moment in the lives of the characters as well as their relationship. And while romantic moments for major characters can be debatable, what made this especially impacting was that it had been set up for a while by Chuck Dixon, the writer, throughout multiple titles, so fans had been wanting this love connection to happen. It's a classic will they or won't they that has a very sweet story about a long simmering true love. Number 6 on my list of the top 10 Nightwing comics you should buy now is Nightwing, Alfred's Return, Number 1. This one-shot's the first headlining issue for Nightwing and ties into the Night Quest storyline, detailing Alfred Pennyworth coming back after having left due to Batman's obsession and inevitable collapse under Bane's strategy and scheme to drive him to the point of breakdown. Number 5 on my list is Nightwing Volume 1, Number 1 through 4. Like most characters being tested for a solo book, Nightwing was given a limited series to test his viability and popularity. The series did well enough that it was then given an ongoing series featuring the character, which I've also listed. This is a fairly common series and does not command a higher value, so it should be fairly inexpensive to acquire and add to your collection. I picked up a set quite some time ago and was fortunate enough to meet Greg Land, who provided the art for it, and I had him sign those among a large stack of other Nightwing comic books. Issue number 2 is important because it also features the debut of Nightwing's most popular blue logo suit, which lasted for him for most of his ongoing series and is the one that has kind of become, connected to him for the length of his career. Number 4 on my list is Nightwing Volume 2, the Number 1 preview. So this was news to me, and I've been a fan of the character for quite some time. Apparently there was a preview edition released to help pre-sell the character and the ongoing series. Now prices on this can range, I'm sure, but currently there's no copies available on eBay. I would guess that because this was a pre-release and a preview, that it's going to be pretty hard to come by. So for fans, even long-time fans of the character, might not have ever had an opportunity to pick one up. I have to say I don't think I've ever seen one for sale, or I'd probably remember it given how big a fan of the character I am. Number 3 on my list of the top 10 Nightwing comics you should buy now is Nightwing number 101 through 106. This is the Nightwing Year One storyline. While it might seem derivative of Batman, it's a valuable story within the Nightwing mythos. We see the evolution of the costume, the retcon of Superman sharing the Kryptonian Nightwing story, and we see a fuller journey of Robin to Nightwing, as has never been shared before. It's an excellent read and does a good job of presenting fresh ideas while staying true to the material already considered canon. This is a personal favorite of mine when it comes to Nightwing stories. I enjoyed it more than either of the Nightwing miniseries. I enjoyed it more than a lot of the other storylines in either of his ongoing series, and it for sure has been one that just continues to stand the test of time as far as I'm concerned. It's written by Chuck Dixon with artwork by Scott McDaniel, who returned back to the ongoing title, and it fit right in with a perfect batch of Year One storylines that Chuck Dixon was heading up at the time, including Robin Year One and Batgirl Year One. So these can generally also be found in back issues for a little bit over cover price. $4 to $5 a piece is about what I would estimate it as. So you can get the entire 6-part issue or 6-part series for $30 to $40. And I do highly recommend making this part of your Nightwing collection if you're a fan of the character. Number 2 on my list is Nightwing Volume 2, Number 1. This is the first issue of Nightwing's first ongoing series. This series was incredibly well built from the beginning, and it ran for quite a while due to the groundwork created by writer Chuck Dixon and artist Scott McDaniel. Greg Land took over after the first 3 years and did an admirable job of continuing things forward, but to me, the strongest years for the title were those first 3 to 4 years. This series began building a rogues gallery for Nightwing that stood apart from Batman's. It introduced the city of Bloodhaven, and it allowed Nightwing to come into his own as a superhero rather than just Batman's former sidekick. And I will say this, that the whole idea of Bloodhaven being the New Jersey to Gotham's New York City was brilliant, and the fact that it was right across the river and considered seedier and more corrupt just made it that much more of a heroic outcome for Nightwing when he went in and defeated the major villains that had set up shop there. And then also the introduction of some of those same characters for him to make his Torque is a pretty cool character. He's a very, very interesting character. So keep an eye out for that. And again, if you're a fan of the character, I highly recommend not just the number 1 issue, but building a run of like the first 50 issues or so, because it's really excellent storytelling by Chuck Dixon. He did a fantastic job with it. Number 1 on my list is Tales of the Teen Titans, number 44. So this is the first Dick Grayson as Nightwing. Keep in mind the wording. The name Nightwing was originally a legendary Kryptonian character. It was retconned that Superman told this legend to Dick Grayson while he was still Robin, and Grayson then chose the Nightwing moniker for his post-Robin adventures. So this issue is part 3 of the Judas Contract, a well-known Teen Titans storyline involving Deathstroke and his child. The other parts of the storyline are Tales of the Teen Titans number 42, number 43, and Tales of the Teen Titans Annual number 3, which also features the death of Terra. So I highly recommend picking up all 4 parts as they're classics, and the entire storyline gives context for Dick Grayson returning to the team. Plus, it's just a really great read. It's Marv Wolfman and George Perez at their best, telling a great Teen Titans story that featured all the best parts of a comic book storyline that you could be asking for. Now currently you can find copies of this book for under $100, though you'll pay around $400 for a CGC 9.8 copy. As a nostalgia note, my first graded comic that I ever bought was Tales of the Teen Titans number 44 in a CGC 9.8 with white pages for the massive sum of $60 shipped off of eBay. Now this was quite some time ago. but I've since sold that because I upgraded to an autographed copy, and you know me, I love autographed books. So these are my top 10 Nightwing comics that you should buy now. I hope that this list gave you a look at some books that maybe you'd never seen before or heard of before, and maybe it's also going to make you consider the Nightwing character and reading into some of his exploits and things that maybe you weren't aware of in terms of his history and some of the great storylines that are out there. Regardless, hopefully this will help you build your collection and continue on as your own comic collector within this realm of DC Bat family titles. Make sure that if you haven't already to like the video, leave a comment below. Let me know if there's any key books that you think I left out that I should have included. If there's any that you didn't know about, I'd love to hear about that too. Or if you try out reading one of the storylines recommended in this video, I want to hear about that as well, so I can give you my feedback and we can continue the conversation. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell, because that's how you're going to know that new videos are coming live onto the channel. As always, I'm Carl's Collects Comics, and it's been a pleasure to share this list with you, and I hope it helps you with building up your comic collection. Keep on collecting those comics, and I'll see you next time.